It's time to move into more advanced AI commands in Tana. Let's use what we've seen in previous lessons to combine the Tana Paste syntax with the Ask AI command. In this lesson, we have 3 example commands that you will run, and each of these 3 examples use Tana Paste inside the Ask AI system command. And this means we now can generate Tana structures straight using the Ask AI command, and these can be outputted inside the fields of this meeting super tag. So let's start with this first example for action items. Here we will generate a list of tagged action items inside this action items field. But that's not all. Let's take a look at the prompt and understand how we have improved this output to get more information from these action items. Here you will see that we now have added the example section for these prompts. And this is a very important part of Ask AI commands, because using an example of a Tana Paste output, we can influence and instruct how we want the output to be generated by this Ask AI command. And in this case, we are using a very similar structure as the one we've seen on the previous lesson for Tana Paste. And here it's worth looking at the example together with the action that we are specifying in this prompt. So here you can see that we are asking for this command to extract all action items discussed, and we are mentioning specific pieces of information about these action items, such as who this action item was assigned to, any deadlines, and the priority level. And here in the example, we are specifying how we want these specific informations to be structured. And to do that, we are using the Tana Paste syntax. So the first thing you can notice here is that we are asking for the action item tag in these nodes. And for each action item, we are specifying that we want the owner, the deadline, and the priority as different fields. And for each of these fields, we are explaining the format for that field. So in the owner case, we want the person name with the person tag as a reference. For the deadline field, we want to use the date notation inside Tana Paste, which is the following. And for the priority, we want references that map to high, medium, or low priority. And in the context, we are sending over the familiar information that we have already used before, which is the meeting name, the meeting transcript, and also the date for today, since we want the deadline for each of these action items. So now that we've seen this prompt, let's run this specific command. So if we run this command, we will see that the output will be generated in the action items field. Here we go. We have generated these 2 action items, and if we expand one of them, we can see that we have the deadline set to tomorrow, the priority as medium, and the owner is Sarah. And here we can see that we're also using another field, which is the meeting field. Now this field shows us a very interesting phenomenon when using these Ask AI commands, because this meeting is configured to auto-initialize to this meeting item where the action item was generated in. So let's take a quick look at how this works. If we open this field configuration, here you can see it's set as the field type options from super tag. And the super tag in this case is the meeting super tag. And here we have the auto-initialize feature configured to ancestor with this super tag. And what this means is that whenever an object with this field is generated inside an ancestor with the meeting tag, it's going to be automatically initialized with this meeting. And this is what happens with these action items, because action items have this meeting field and they are inside a meeting node with this meeting tag. And this gives us a very powerful possibility to keep track of where a specific item was created. In this case, we can connect this action item to the place where it was created, which is a meeting. With this, we can wrap up this first example of action items, and we can move to the second example, which will set the next meeting date. And this command will set the date for the next meeting based on the transcript and additional information. So let's take a look at this Ask AI prompt. In here, we simply ask for AI to suggest a date for the next meeting using the information of the current date, which we are sending over in the context again, and any dates mentioned in the transcript. So with this, we only have this very simple notation in the example, which is a date following the Tana Paste structure. So when we run this command, AI will understand that we want this output to be generated in this format, and only this should be outputted inside this command. So let's run this and see what we get. So let's click the set next meeting date. And from here, you can see that AI is thinking and the output is going to be saved in this field. And here we go. The next meeting is set in 1 week's time. Today is Tuesday, April 29th. So the next week is going to be May 6th. And if we open the transcript here, we can see that the participants mention that they will set up a follow-up call for next Tuesday, which makes perfect sense. And this is exactly what we expected as an output here. So let's keep going and move on to a final, more elaborate command, which is the participants' contributions. And what this command will do is to generate an analysis with the contribution from each participant in a meeting. So let's take a look at this command and understand what we are asking for. And here, let's look again at the action and the example that we are sending over simultaneously. So in the action, we are asking for a list of all participants and their roles with a summary of key contributions from each of them, the areas of expertise, and even possible disagreements or alignments between these participants. And in the example, we show how we want this output to be structured. So here we are using this new super tag, which is a participant contribution tag. And we are asking for these 4 fields with the participant itself, the contribution, the expertise, and the interactions in this meeting. And here, the only thing that changes in the context is that now we're also sending over this participants field. And this will help AI to fill in the participant field for these different participant contribution nodes. So let's run this command and see what we get from this. Here, let's click the participant contributions field and see what are the contributions for these participants. Here you can see the field participant contribution is being generated. And here we have this analysis separated into these 2 people. And for each of these nodes, we have the participant set as a field, the contribution, expertise, and interactions. And just as we've seen in the action items example, these contributions are also automatically associated with the meeting using the auto-initialize function. So this is another example of how we can create these complex structures inside an Ask AI command just by simply describing the example that we want. So this opens up some very powerful possibilities, as you can create chains of commands and generate information inside different nodes in Tana, where you can always connect to the original source of information, and you can use all of this structure to elaborate different analyses and different prompts that you want to run inside Tana. So this wraps up the examples for this lesson. And as a final recap, we can state that the best way to create a good prompt for reasoning model is to provide the best possible example with an explanation of any parts that might be unclear. This will help AI understand what format you want, and based on the information that you are asking for and possibly on the information that you're sending over as data, AI will generate your output perfectly inside Tana following the format that you specified. Hey there, I hope you are enjoying and learning a lot from these lessons. And if you are, I would like to invite you to check out the interactive learning kit that accompanies this course. By purchasing this, you're not only supporting my work, you're also getting access to the interactive Tana workspace that you see in these videos with the commands, configurations, lesson material, and some extra benefits to help you learn faster and have a premium experience using Tana Commands. So check it out and learn more using the link in the description below or by scanning the QR code that you can see in your screen. Good learning, and I'll see you in the next